Hi, I'm Allie.
I'm Nick.
And this is the But Have You Tried bookshelf.
Cha-ching.
Cha-ching, cha-ching.
I don't know why I'm on sound. Do you categorize your books alphabetically by color?
Like on my
just
bookshelf?
Just by vibe? Yeah, what do you do?
Either like by which ones I'm reading, like the ones I'm reading are the closest to the top of my pile.
Okay.
Wherever the most accessible on the bookshelf. Or like if it's like long-term storage of books that I own. I try to do it by like genre, but right now it's just a higgledy-piggledy mess because we haven't actually organized it since Caleb and I combined our book collection.
Yeah. You know, you seem like such a together gal.
Uh-huh.
You know, I'm snapping my fingers. That sometimes I forget that there's a line of chaos running through you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Sometimes I forget that.
It's
you've just reminded me with all of that
there's
you
a
said.
thin line holding the chaos back from
All right.
what's actually important.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like I've been kind of trying not to organize all of our books now that they're together because I know that as soon as I start doing it, I will like manically do it until it is done and perfect.
Yeah, that's like a...
And so I'm like, I need to wait.
You come out 2 days later, full beard.
Exactly, until I have time, like a long weekend or something to do this.
Okay.
So,
all right. I get that.
How about you? What's your organization strategy?
Yeah, pretty alphabetical. You know, I got my graphic novels a little separate. I have a little nonfiction section, but yeah, for the most part, alphabetical. Sometimes if it's an author I have a lot of, like Robert B. Parker, I'll have some of them up on their side and some of them spine, you know, just...
Whatever fits better.
Whatever fits better, exactly.
Because there's too many books
I gotta
on
conserve
bookshelves.
space.
Yeah,
I need more bookshelves, definitely.
Oh yeah, yeah. We definitely have like 2, maybe 3 boxes of books that are not on shelves.
Yeah,
because there's no room.
The
for
one
them.
thing I miss about our old house is that it had one room and one whole wall was just like floor to ceiling bookshelves.
That's amazing.
It was the thing of beauty. It truly was, and that was the hardest thing for me to say goodbye to.
I can understand why.
I still mourn it a little bit, and I've talked about we should do that in a room. It's never going to happen. So it's a lot of measuring and cutting. I don't.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Thanks.
That's a lot of work.
No thanks.
Do you feel that of the books that you personally own,
you
have more fiction or nonfiction?
Definitely fiction.
Okay, that's funny because I would have always expected that I would have more fiction. But the last time I, manically organized all my books before Caleb and I got married, I discovered I actually have a lot more nonfiction.
Huh.
Yeah. It's like
unusual, like leftover from college and stuff.
Some of it is leftover from college.
Stuff you like. Okay.
Some of it, I have a lot of poetry. And like essay type books, that kind of like sort of creative nonfiction stuff.
That. Yeah.
And I think some of it is that type of stuff is the stuff I'm more likely to want to reread or like reread parts of, whereas fiction I might not.
My home book collection too is also like woefully dated because I just don't buy a lot of books anymore. So I guess I'm like coloring me part of the problem, but
when you spend 35 hours a week in a library, it feels a little redundant. I do.
It does creep up at me sometimes. Like I'm holding a book I want to get, and I'm like, but I know that's 30 feet from my desk at all times. So why am I? So, but I miss it. I don't know if I've lamented like the loss of purchasing physical media because it was one of the great joys of my life, and now it's gone. Maybe a record now and then, maybe a book if I'm at a used bookstore, like something. On the cheap, or if there's like an author that I'm following and something comes out and I just like have to have it occasionally because I love it, but like it just doesn't hold the same magic that it used to. Stupid digital world.
Yeah, that's fair.
That being said, I do love Libby and digital books. So digital audiobooks, digital graphic novels. I don't know if I'll get kicked out of here for saying this, but I kind of prefer a digital graphic novel like on a tablet these days. Yeah, I like that color pop. Because, graphic novels, especially like in bed or outside or something, it's not like a one-handed kind of thing. You got to really,
a big
hands at 10 and 2 like you're driving a Mack truck.
I feel like I don't have any screens that are big enough to read a graphic novel on. That's not like my laptop, and I don't want to be like on the couch or in bed with like my laptop holding it in front of my face. Like that's really...
I had a pretty, probably like an 8-inch tablet for a long time. I had a Barnes & Noble Nook, and then I had an RCA tablet for a while that lasted a lot longer than I thought it would. And I did okay reading on that as well. I have a bigger one now, and I do prefer it. I think it's great. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
You know what
I'm changing.
I miss,
I guess I'm hip.
Yeah, you are hip. You are hip.
Rolling with the times.
I miss being a library patron.
Oh,
like going to the library, being like, today's the day. I'm going to go to the library.
Yeah.
I'm going to browse for like 45 minutes. And I'm going to come home with a giant stack of books that I'll never be able to read in 4 weeks. And I don't do that anymore unless I'm like visiting a library somewhere else.
I still do it.
You come in as a patron?
Well, you know, I'm
sometimes
here
I'll
and I
like put
check
on a
out bunch of
baseball cap
books
or something that
and
I would
you
never
come
wear to work.
incognito,
Yeah, I
sure.
do.
Okay, that's funny.
But mostly I just like see books while I'm like working, and I grab
Yeah.
them and then I check them out before
Yeah.
the end of the day. and I take
Another
them
great
home.
tragedy, I think, you know, working in libraries for like 20 plus years as I have, is like I've seen so many books that I know that I'll never get a chance to read.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, that's true.
So that's a tough pill to swallow, but swallow what I have, because here I am.
That's fair.
In decade 3, I guess, of library work.
That's
Is that
pretty
true?
crazy.
Jeez. All right. What are we talking about today, Allie?
We're talking about books, movies, shows.
Oh,
Whatever we
course.
feel like.
Okay, let's do that then.
All right, what movies have you been watching?
Well, let's see. I watched The Imitation Game with Benedict Cumberbatch and Keira Knightley. Have you seen that movie?
I have, actually,
Oh.
not that long ago.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't watch it that long ago either. Within the last month, in
well,
fact.
it was longer ago than that for
So,
me, but
Yeah, I remember when it came out. I don't know why I didn't watch it, and I don't know really what I was like. I'm going to watch The Imitation Game, and I did. I liked it. It was darker and sadder than I anticipated going in. I went in
you
fully.
didn't anticipate it to be
I
dark
didn't
and
know
sad?
anything about it.
Oh.
I didn't know anything. It was just like Benedict Cumberbatch's going to go and invent a computer. That's all I knew.
Got it.
About it. And,
Yeah.
and I was like, wait a minute.
It actually was a
This
little
makes me
less
feel
dark and
bad.
sad than I expected.
I actually felt like the dark and sad part of it, if it was gonna have such a wallop, should have been more present earlier.
That's fair.
Most of it is just Benedict Cumberbatch, like inventing a computer. Mm-hmm. And then it's sort of like there's a little creeping dread, and then by the end, it's just like you'll never be happy again. So enjoy this movie. And I feel like I maybe would have... I understand why they didn't, because it would have been a real downer, but like more strongly weaving that in and building to that climax, I think would have raised it a star, in my opinion. But,
Fair enough.
you know, what are you going to do? So you like it? You like the film?
I liked it. I mean, again, kind of sad, but also from like a mathy perspective, it's a fun, interesting movie. So.
Yeah, that's true, because you're a math kid.
I am
a
a
math
math
whiz. I used to do, when I was in elementary school, I used to do the Math Olympiads, like,
That sounds fun.
every year. Yeah. I never got, like, the trophy, and I wanted it. I did want it. I never got it. But I got an English trophy and a history trophy, so...
I mean, hey, that counts
Here
for
I
something.
am. Yeah. Except I have to do math all the time because of the library budget and in all of the various numbers at play. I constantly have to do math.
Yeah.
And I really felt like when I took my last math class, I'm never going to count anything again.
Oh, man.
I'm just going to
sorry.
assume that I have enough eggs for a recipe.
sorry.
I'm not going to count them.
Yeah,
but
for all those people who are out there like, why should I have to take this math? I'll never use it
I mean,
again. You
to
might.
be fair, I've never done freaking trigonometry.
Oh, I do
in-
trigonometry weirdly often, but I think
What the
that's
heck?
because I am
Just
a
like for
math
fun, probably,
kinda,
right?
Kinda.
Oh my gosh.
Well, like if you see stuff in nature and you're like, ooh, the angles.
Wow.
We can't get into this.
Wow.
This is my shame.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, comes up more often than you'd expect.
Okay. Well, I learned something new about you. What about you? Did you make yourself watch a movie?
I did watch a movie.
Follow-up question. Did you do it just to avoid the shame of not having watched a movie?
That was definitely part
It
of
was
it,
at play.
but
It was
not
at
the
play.
only reason.
Okay. What'd you watch?
I watched Detective Pikachu.
Okay.
Have you seen this movie?
Yes, I saw Detective Pikachu at the drive-in. Yeah, I saw it outside.
Okay.
The only time I saw it.
Yeah, like sometime in the last week or two, Caleb and I were like, it's a relaxing evening. I feel like it was like thunderstorming or something. We should watch a movie. And we watched Detective Pikachu, which he had seen before and really liked. And he knows that I've become lately very appreciative of Pokemon.
Okay. All right.
They're cute. I like them.
Okay.
So we watched this movie.
Yeah.
And I was not expecting that Simon from Dungeons & Dragons would be in it, nor
right.
that Cassie Lang would be in it. So that was a fun surprise.
There you go. Yeah, you know what? I watched that movie and I had high expectations, but then it started and I was like, I don't know anything about Pokemon.
Oh, really?
Like, Pikachu and Squirtle, I could
That's
tell
what you got. What about Bulbasaur?
No.
Charmander?
No, I mean,
None of
I
it?
recognize those names,
Okay,
but to
okay.
see them,
Like,
I couldn't
know
tell
some
you.
of those words.
I couldn't tell you what they were. So it set in pretty early that my lack of knowledge about the Pokemon lore was going to be a problem, and it was. So,
Well, that's a shame.
yeah. And I've never revisited. Did you like it?
I did, yeah. I thought it was fun. And I thought they did a really good job of making the Pokemon exist like in a 3D real person world without it
Yeah.
being too weird.
Yeah.
Like that could really easily
down
be
with that.
so
Sure.
uncanny and like, ooh.
Yeah.
But I actually thought they did a good job. Most of the Pokemon were really cute. The
Yeah.
Pikachu obviously was very cute, but I mean, it's pretty hard to make a Pikachu not good. So
Yeah. I know you're not allowed to say bad things about Ryan Reynolds, but I felt a little like maybe Ryan Reynolds was not the best choice for that, because it did just feel a little bit like, oh, it's PG Deadpool as Detective Pokemon. You know what I mean?
I didn't even process the fact that it was Ryan Reynolds until like 3/4 of the way through the movie.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like sometimes I have a hard time associating the voice of a person. If I like don't see them, like if they're just voice acting it, I'm just like, okay, it's a Pikachu who's talking. Like that's all I've got.
So you can't recognize Ryan Reynolds' voice, but you can figure out the trigonometry of a tree branch.
I probably could recognize Ryan Reynolds' voice, but I wasn't thinking about it.
Okay.
And then I was like, what?
There it is.
That's who it is.
Okay.
So I can't comment.
So
on
you
that
did, but you did like it. 2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
2 enthusiastic thumbs up.
I think so.
Wow. Okay. Speaking of Ryan Reynolds, I watched Deadpool and Wolverine. Okay. You gave me nothing on that, but that's so you don't care about Deadpool and or Wolverine.
Not very much.
Okay.
Not very much.
I didn't care about the first Deadpool movie. I wanted it to be funnier. I liked the second Deadpool movie better. And so, my wife, who's a huge X-Men fan, as you know, because we've co-hosted her X-Men podcast a time or two, she had more writing on it, I think, than I did. But we both went in with kind of like whatever expectations and ended pretty happy. Lots of cool like cameos and Easter egg kind of things. The jokes I felt like were pretty on par with, maybe with Deadpool 2, and I probably even funnier in places. But I really appreciated that they gave the characters, even in a heightened, silly movie, like Hugh Jackman got some genuine scenes as Logan, as Wolverine, which I wasn't sure we were going to get, but it did kind of feel that way. And they kind of did a thing where it was like, this is, also sort of a love letter to the Fox films, like the, X-Men, Fantastic Four of the last 20 years or so. So, yeah, I thought it was very successful all around. It gave me some things that I didn't know that I wanted. And overall, I think it was pretty good. I can't imagine you liking these movies.
Probably not.
Okay. All right.
Probably not. And I haven't watched any of the Deadpool movies or any of the live-action X-Men stuff. So
yeah,
I'm just kind of like, I mean, I would have a lot of homework to do before watching this one.
We're gonna have to remedy that.
Fair enough.
If only I had unlimited
the
power
to remedy that.
Yeah. Okay. And then it's Star Trek Day, as you'll recall from watching Star Trek: The Cage. Did you watch any more? Did you watch The Menagerie?
I did not.
Check it.
I still intend to, but I got kind of busy.
All right. Well, for the Star Wars podcast that I do with my pal Steve, every Star Trek Day we switch it and pretend it's a Star Trek podcast. And
nice.
This year, Amanda Smith from the library here joined us to talk about Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, directed by William Shatner. Have you seen it?
I don't think so.
You haven't seen any of the Star Trek movies?
I've seen First Contact.
Okay, right. That's right. We're going to have to remedy that. Star Trek V gets a bum rap because everybody loves Wrath of Khan and everybody loved Star Trek 4. And Star Trek V is a very weird, they go on a quest to find God, and it becomes more like a character piece. It's like it would be a weird episode of the show. It's a weird entry in the movie franchise, but like when you look at it as a whole, every time I watch it, I like it more. Like I kind of find new quirky things about it. So like it's weird to compare it to Wrath of Khan or First Contact because it's not even the same genre. You know what I mean? Like it's just a weird, but we had a really good time with that, and we had a good conversation over on This Endorian Life. And on This Endorian Life, we had been talking about Count Duckula comics because somebody wrote Count Duckula comics and also wrote some Ewok comics. And then you and I were talking about Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and lo and behold, a package arrived in the mail from one of our listeners. So shout out to Jeremiah, who found us some Count Duckula comics for me over on Endorian Life and some Deep Space Nine and Next Gen comics for us here.
Yes.
On But Have You Tried? So it was I mean, I love to get mail anyway.
Right? It was definitely a fun surprise.
And have it be full of comic books was a dream come true. A nice card, and so it was very nice. So we appreciate that. And I did a little bit of reading. Did you read any of these comics?
I did. I read the 2 Deep Space Nine comics.
Yes.
I started the Next Gen one, but I didn't have time to finish it.
All right.
In my defense, though, we got this package 2 days ago.
We did.
And you took the Next Gen
one.
comic from me. So yeah.
So was this like your first Star Trek thing that you've read, right? Other
More
than
or
that
less.
Graphic novel you
Other
tried
than
to
half
read
that
once.
graphic novel that I didn't finish.
Loser. Did you like it?
I did, yeah. It was fun.
I don't think that I've ever... No, I haven't. I've never read just like, this is a Deep Space Nine comic.
Well, you don't really like Deep Space Nine because you're a hater.
But maybe I'll remedy that someday. I don't know. Did it whet your appetite? Do you want to read more Star Trek?
Yeah, it was kind of fun. And I'm so fond of Deep Space Nine that just like seeing the characters and like kind of hearing their voices as I'm like reading the text was fun. And I was like, aw, more Deep Space Nine,
Yeah.
more of the gang doing their stuff.
There is a new ongoing series out right now. There's like a Defiant series following Worf.
Oh.
And there's a Deep Space Nine comic following Cisco that picks up where the show ended. But I haven't seen the show, so I'm not reading either of those. So I can't tell you one way or another. But they exist if you desire them.
Maybe I'll look into it. Okay, so the Deep Space Nine comics that I did read, that we received in the mail.
Tell me about it.
One of them is about Jake and Nog.
Okay.
Do you know who those people are?
I do. Yeah.
There's supposedly a bomb on the ship, and everyone is like, all right, Jake and Nog, go back to your quarters, and we'll handle this because we're adults. And they choose not to do that and just go around looking for the bomb. And it's just a fun, silly adventure.
Okay. That sounds good.
Yeah. I think you might like that one, even though you are a Deep Space
Maybe
Nine
I
fan.
will.
Okay, so speaking of books and things we're reading.
Yeah.
What are you reading?
Well, I'll tell you about my comics first, since we're talking about comics. I read a series called Black Bolt by Saladin Ahmed, which won the Eisner Award back when it came out. Do you know who Black Bolt is?
Is that the guy in the Multiverse of Madness who dies horribly very quickly?
First of all, we don't speak the name Multiverse of Madness.
I mean, the movie, the name of which we do not
speak. We're going to do a third episode
speak.
about that movie. We don't talk about it. But yes, that is Black Bolt.
Okay,
Black Bolt, the leader of the Inhumans. And this is about him being exiled. He gets his brother, who is a villainous character, kind of body swaps them. And so Black Bolt end up being exiled in this prison, and he doesn't have his powers and stuff. So you really don't have to know anything about the Inhumans, which is good because no one does. And it still works pretty well as just like, you get it. Like, he's a king, but now he's trapped in this prison and has to sort of like
figure it out.
Yeah, make friends with enemies and work together. It's very good. It was really good. We have it here in the collection. The art is really cool. The first 6 issues are really about the jailbreak, essentially. And then the second 6 issues feel sort of like let's keep this train a-moving. But they still work pretty well. It's him kind of getting back to familiar places and kind of trying to take his life back and stuff. So, yeah, you don't have to be an Inhumans fan to enjoy it. And like I said, it was award-winning and rightfully so. I read one called One Star Squadron by Mark Russell. This is a DC comic, and it's about Red Tornado basically having a little firm that has like a gig economy superheroes. Like you can request a superhero come to like a birthday party or open a grocery store or some light superheroing. And it's just kind of I don't know, it defies genre and is kind of a heartwarming story about like down on your luck superheroes. And Red Tornado is sort of like doing his best in a sucky situation. And I don't know, it was unusual and I liked it.
That does sound kind of fun.
Yeah. Are you reading books?
I am reading books. I finished my long journey through Mistborn, the Will of Ascension.
I never thought the day would come. Good for you.
I was starting to wonder.
Good for you.
I still have the third one, and then I need to decide if I'm going to dive right into the series that takes place like 300 years later.
I don't think so.
Or just like take a break.
I think you need a breather.
For a while. Yeah, because they're big books.
Yeah.
It takes me a while to get through them.
Yeah, just trying to find space on the shelves here for them. It's like, forget it. We have the fantasy shelf, and then we have a wheelbarrow full of Brandon Sanderson books because it's the only way.
And he just keeps
won't
popping
stop.
them
Can't
out.
stop, won't stop.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotta respect that.
Okay.
But yeah, so I finished that, and I also finished Odds Against by Dick Francis.
Yeah.
Which is like a mystery, kind of like a horse racing mystery.
Yeah, we did it for a book club years ago.
So. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I had a good time. So
I don't think Dick Francis and now his son Felix Francis took over the series. Well, it's not really a series. It's sort of like they have the same energy, but there's not a lot of recurring characters and stuff.
Okay.
You're just kind of like, it's a Dick Francis world. Here you go. So you're going to read more?
I am.
Okay.
And I went to try and find the second one, and
it's pretty old.
Yeah.
At this
point.
I think
I was listening to the first one, but I think I have to get a book for the second one because I did not find it on Libby, which made me sad inside.
You don't have to read them in order because they're not connected. So
okay, well that's
book
good
3 or 4 or 5 is there, you're fine.
Maybe I'll take a look for one of those.
Okay.
Yeah, so I finished those, and I am now reading A Magic Steeped in Poison by Judy Lynn for my little book club. My Force My Friends to Stay in Touch with Me book club.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Works pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad again that you're learning from me.
Yeah.
My Make My Friends Read Together book club was called Pliable Truths by Dayton Ward, and it is a Star Trek book that we picked for Star Trek Day, but it is a sneaky book that becomes a Deep Space Nine book, because it's kind of about the next gen crew rolling in on Tarek Nor before the Federation gets it, like in the process of the Federation.
That sounds interesting.
Getting it. It was actually very interesting. So
even though you're a Deep Space Nine hater,
I wouldn't say hater. It's just a lack of interest. I'm just like whatever. But the book was really good, so we have it in the collection here, and I would recommend that, especially to you because you love Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
So
it does sound interesting.
Yeah. So we read that together. I finished The Sitterford Mystery by Agatha Christie, which is the one I got in London. Humble brag. We talked a little bit about it last time, and it was good. I did kind of have my sights set on the right person. I didn't know how or why, but something about it, I was like, that's the killer. And I was proven correct.
Just like a instinct.
Yeah, I had a hunch. I had a hunch.
You're a good armchair detective.
Thank you. I'm currently reading Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen, because that is our Books and Brews book club that we're going to be doing on September 19th over at the shop at Maine. And it's a little annoying. I don't really, like, Bruce Springsteen is just, I've never listened to Bruce Springsteen. Like, I know, I can't even list one, but I know the ones that, Born in the USA. There you go. I know Born in the USA. I've heard a little
that's
bit
better
of his
than I've
later
got,
stuff.
but
yeah, I have the album, Radio Nowhere, I think it's called, and I have The Rising. So, like, I've heard some Bruce Springsteen things, but it's just don't know, don't care. So
it's hard to read a book about someone when you're kind of like, all right,
yeah.
whatever.
The book started out being kind of annoying because it was just very like, oh yeah, me and Weasel would go down to the Five and Dime and play our guitars. I was like, okay, but once you kind of roll with it, it's I'm just kind of reading it like fiction almost. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, yeah, look at this dude trying to make it in the 60s, 70s. I don't know. It defines era. I don't know. Defies. So. Whatever, but that's what I'm reading. It was the we kind of put it to a vote. People had suggested a rock biography, and we put several out there, and this was the one that had the most votes. So we're doing it.
Cool.
So that's my current list. What did you say your current read?
Magic Steeped in Poison.
Yeah,
I also just got a book called Save the Cat Writes a Novel.
Okay.
It's based on this like screenwriting theory of like plot beats that every story should have or whatever.
Okay.
But it's applicable to novels.
Got it. Okay.
And I've seen a few of my writer friends like absolutely raving about it, so I thought.
Now,
I'd
do
check
they
it
also
out.
do trigonometry for fun, or they just
no,
they stick more to
not
the,
that kind of nerd,
right,
more the
pen and paper,
and paper nerd.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. There's a surprisingly small overlap actually between those two kinds of nerd.
Okay.
You'd think it'd be bigger.
Okay.
But
yeah.
So I'm also reading that, and something that I am planning to start soon. Did you ever read the Betsy Tacy series when you were a kid or at any point in your life?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so I read this series when I was a kid. It's like Betsy Tacy. They're two girls. They live on the same street.
Okay.
And they're best friends. And it's in like the early 1900s, maybe late 1800s.
Okay.
And it's just fun and wholesome. Like they just like... They get into scrapes. They like get mud on their dresses, and they decide they're hungry, so they like go beg from the rich person's house instead of going back home to get a snack and like all that kind of stuff. And they're just a blast. And I found out recently somehow that there's like 4 or 6 more of them that take place when they're like in high school and like growing up that I didn't know existed.
You got to get there.
So I just checked one of them out this morning, and I'm really excited to read it.
That's exciting.
Right?
It's nice to find a new old
extra
favorite, right?
surprise fun books.
Yeah.
So
cool. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. This is a really big moment for me.
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Have we talked about shows yet? I don't think we
have.
have.
But I finished some things. I was in a bit of a sitcom spin. So I finished a show called Extended Family, which had John Cryer and Donald Faison in it. And it was one of those shows that's like, this isn't very good, but it was pleasant. And they canceled it after one season. So sorry, everyone. And then I caught up on that 90s show. They just dropped part 3. So there's been like 10 episodes and then like 4 episodes and then like another 4 or something like that, you know. So I've caught up on everything that's out. And I don't think they've officially said they're making more, but I hope they do because, again, comfort food, you know? It's just... I actually binged a lot of it one night when I couldn't sleep. I was just like, forget it. I'm just going to go, you know. And I watched a bunch of it, and it was a pleasant way to pass the midnight hours. So
yeah,
I like it.
We all need a show that we can binge.
We do.
During
and
the midnight hours.
Allison, I started Wednesday.
Excellent. This is fantastic
My
news.
wife and I watched the first episode and planning to continue. So,
do you have thoughts so far or not yet? Too soon?
Yeah, I had watched the first episode way back forever ago when it first came out because I was doing the Addams Family, and I liked it. And I started the second episode, and I was just like too busy to get back into it, and then it just like time passed, and I was like, meh. This time I think it will stick though.
Okay, good.
What about you? What are you doing?
I am continuing on with Stranger Things, Gilmore Girls.
Oh, with the poodles already.
Exactly.
Okay.
I also watched a couple of episodes of Slugterra. Do you know what that is?
I do. I've never seen it. I'm familiar with it.
Okay. So it's this like, I guess fantasy kids animated show where there's this like world under our world.
Okay.
It's like these caverns. And there are these little like cute little magic slug guys that you like shoot from a blaster. And when they reach, I don't know, 100 miles per hour or something like that, they transform into these like big giant magical slug guys, and they fight sort of Pokemon-esque.
Okay.
And
slug. Just repeating it because it's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. But the slugs are incredibly cute.
Oh.
They're very, very cute. But I'd watched a bunch of this with my brothers back in the day. It gets weird after a while.
Okay.
Like, you know, the way many shows do.
I see there's a sequel series.
Oh, really?
Called Slugterra Ascension. Came out in 2022.
That's intriguing.
So, yeah. I'm just going to say it. Some of the things you do are just weird.
Well, to be fair, I did watch this
just
with
weird.
my brother because he wanted to.
Oh, okay. Well,
this wasn't totally...
Okay, that's nice.
But also, I'm not going to say nice. I wouldn't have just watched this on my own because I did enjoy it back in the day when I watched it with my brothers.
All right.
The slugs are cute. And it's got a real, like, Wild Westy, like, just going around.
Yeah.
Getting into duels with your slugs and stuff, kind of a feel. It's fun.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
That's what I've got.
Okay.
Besides media consumption, what else is going on in your life?
Well, it's back to school time, so, you know, we had to go and do the classic back to school shopping, which I miss so much, like picking out pencils and folders and pens and notebooks and things like that. Because, you know, like, we're fortunate, you know, in Wellsville that the school takes care of most of that thing. So we didn't even get to do that for our son. But we did, you know, we did some clothes shopping and some shoes and that kind of stuff. So that has been consuming a lot of my mental space. But also I started Spider-Man 2 on the PlayStation. As you recall, I beat the first game and I beat Miles Morales, and then my son started playing the first game and he beat that in Miles Morales, and I was like, geez, I gotta pick up the pace and
you better
beat Spider-Man 2, otherwise he's gonna surpass me. So, and when he's not playing Spider-Man 2, he has agreed to read Chasing Vermeer with me, which is our next topic. So maybe he can be our man on the street and we'll get a little 10-year-old perspective on Chasing Vermeer.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I'd be curious to hear.
Because that is, it's in the hopper. I have started it. I had a dentist appointment that I'm still recovering from.
Oh, no.
And I read a lot of that while I was waiting for the dentist. I read the first 3 or 4 chapters. I think I'm on chapter 7 or 8 now, but I will be ready
Sounds
to
good.
discuss.
It's not a long book. So
in 2 weeks. No, it's not.
I'm sure you can.
It's
I'm
not.
Sure you can handle
That's
it.
accurate. What about you? What are you doing in your life?
Well, Caleb, Corey, and I went to the zoo in Toronto.
Man. That sounds like a children's book right there.
Right?
That'd be great.
That would be great. And we got to see a lot of cool animals. We saw a giraffe, which giraffe, they always seem like fake, like they shouldn't exist.
No,
like I look at them with my eyeballs and I'm like, that's not a real animal.
Right.
Is it? Like, this isn't adding up.
It's like a child's drawing that's running.
Yeah. But yeah, we saw a bunch of cool things. We saw
cool.
an ostrich, which I don't think I've ever seen a real ostrich before.
I have, but it's been a while. Yeah.
It's so, I don't know. They look so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And again, it feels a little like fake.
Yeah.
But
They do look ridiculous. Don't let them hear you say that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And we saw some hippos, both pygmy hippos and full size.
Pygmy hippos.
I
want to see a pygmy hippo.
They're cute. They're still like big because, you know, they're still hippos. But
now, I know that your husband is a bear enthusiast.
A huge bear enthusiast.
So did it meet his expectations?
I think so. They have a grizzly bear there, which I feel like zoos don't usually. They have like a polar bear maybe or sometimes a black bear, but I don't feel like they usually have a grizzly bear.
Yeah, that seems unusual.
Yeah, and so we had to walk like forever, like an insane distance, over a hill, down a hill, around a corner, like Corey
this wasn't
and I,
even part of the zoo.
Both of our feet were hurting.
You just wandered into the Canadian
No, the
wilderness
Canadian, like, so they have a Canadian animals, like, exhibit.
Okay.
But it's, like,
were there any Wolverines?
Really far away from everything else for no reason. No, they had raccoons and, like, a cougar.
I have raccoons.
And a moose.
That doesn't... Okay.
Which was sitting down from a distance and still looked Massive.
I saw them when I went to visit my sister in Utah a few years back. There was just moose wandering around.
That's so cool.
They were far away from us, but
That's
we
good.
pulled
That's
over on
good.
the side of the road and looked at them for a while. They didn't charge us or anything.
That's really
I'm not gonna
good.
mess with a moose.
No,
you know what I mean.
That's not something you should do.
You shouldn't mess with a moose.
That's not something you should do.
Okay.
But yeah, we got to see the grizzly bear, even though we did have to walk forever to do it,
Yeah.
and it was like real close to the glass and like posing for us
Whoa.
and like yawning and stuff.
Nice.
He was a cute guy. He was on the
Nice.
smallish side,
Okay.
but Caleb was instantly
I've
enamored.
seen, like in my car driving along, I've seen bears like wandering around the road a few times in this area. Have
I
you?
don't think I ever have actually.
Yeah.
I
My
always
wife-
kind of expect to.
She's
But
lived here her entire life, and this has never happened to her, and it's happened to me twice. So it's a real bone of contention in our
Yeah,
marriage.
I
But I've
understand
seen bears
why.
in the wild, and she hasn't. So
yeah, that seems
you
really
know, but
unfair.
it's not my fault. You know what I mean?
Just close your
I
eyes.
don't have
If you
any-
see a
yeah.
bear,
I
pretend
bear no
you did
guilt
it.
for this. It's just happenstance. Okay, well that sounds fun. Did you get any souvenirs?
I did not.
Lame.
I did buy a hot dog that took like 25 minutes to come because they forgot about me. But
That's funny.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. I can't resist a souvenir shop at a place like that. You know.
yeah, that's fair.
I pretend it's for my son, but it's not. It's not.
We were kind of running late to get Corey to the airport, and
okay.
had we not, I feel like we might have.
Yeah.
But
A little
we
shopping.
were pushing it a little bit.
Okay.
So
Okay. Well, that sounds like a nice little excursion. I haven't been to a zoo in like pre-COVID. I feel like was the last time I was at a zoo. So
well, if you
Yeah.
want to see a really cool zoo, the Toronto Zoo is massive and
Never
very
been.
good. So
maybe I'll go.
yeah,
Okay.
we only did like maybe half of it, if that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
there was so much.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that is cool. Where I grew up in Battle Creek, Michigan, there was a great zoo called Binder Park, and it was cool. And then they added like a whole African safari news section to it it was crazy. Like I couldn't believe that it's that kind of stuff. So yeah,
That's
I like a
awesome.
good zoo. I also have mixed feelings about zoos, but you know.
Yeah, I understand that. But a lot of the time, I'm like, I mean, these animals are like being well cared for. You know, like, I
Right.
don't know. It feels weird to have them in
Yeah.
captivity, but I also feel like they do have a pretty good life, assuming
Yeah.
they have enough space.
I always feel a little bit too like being able to see and at least like visually interact with animals like that also kind of raise awareness and make you care to
Yeah,
take care of them in other ways. You know what I mean?
I
So,
agree.
you know, pros and
Makes
cons.
it feel
but,
more real.
But I am always a little like, is this okay? I don't know.
I
Who
hear
knows?
that. Well, anyway, we'll be back in 2 weeks, and we probably won't talk about animals, but there's always a chance.
Maybe
but
we will.
Maybe we will.
We might.
We will be talking about Chasing Vermeer. I don't really feel like I remember there being a lot of animals in Chasing
I
Vermeer.
don't remember an animal so far. No.
Could still happen.
Lots of little puzzles.
Yeah,
You know, I
lots of
saw
puzzles.
some Vermeers at the Met in New York
Nice.
City. So
Did you see a lady writing?
Hands-on. I did. Yes, I did. Yeah.
I think I saw that at the National Gallery in D.C. when I was like 12.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
And it was a big moment for me because of
Sure.
Chasing Vermeer specifically.
Sure, yeah.
But anyway, we'll talk
Okay.
more
We will.
about
Yeah,
all
we'll get
that in
into it.
2
We'll get
weeks.
into it. Okay.
There's still time to read Chasing Vermeer if you want to read along with us
Mhm.
because it is a short one.
Yeah. A 10-year-old could do it.
A 10-year-old could do it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you can do it too.
Yep.
But I'm curious to hear what you think.
Mm-hmm. And yes, I just want to plug our TikTok because Corey is nailing it over
Corey
on the
is
library
nailing it.
TikTok, and you're in quite a few of them as well. And you guys are a fun duo. So if you're not following the library on TikTok, you should do that.
You should.
That's my plug.
We have a good time.
It's the end of my plug.
Excellent.
Okay.
Good plug.
All right. Well, then I'll see you next time.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.